that actually is a tough question, not only for politics, but also for businesses, because everybody is trying to get out their message. And they're all bombarding the networks with what they want to say and why they want to say it. I mean, Reggie Jackson, and I talk, and he was selling cars in Florida. He has an unbelievable lineup of fancy cars, millions of dollars of cars. He's like, can you cover it? Well, I wasn't able to cover that. But the truth is that you get bombarded with ideas and thoughts, and it often is just by, the message needs to be clear. That's number one. I mean, people in television are not reading a 20-page book on what you're trying to sell them. They want it short, they want it concise, they want 3 bullet points. Why do I care? Why do they care? Why do they care? Tell me why we should put this on our national channel and how it affects us. Tell me why I care. And I say that, it's sort of blunt, but it's true. Why do I care? So that's number one. Also just, you know, how newsworthy it is at that time. If we're talking, you were saying you work in politics, if that particular group is doing something that's really generating a lot of following and there's a lot of people there, well, that's quite newsworthy. So that's the kind of thing that, and it really, and I have this face on while I'm saying it, because so often I have to just say no to people, and I don't like to say no. I like to say yes, but it's just hard to try and, there's only a certain number of hours of programming a day, and you can't say yes to everybody.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Thank you for sharing your energy, your joy, and also your unique professional insights today. My question was this, and I've been a little bit in a soundproof booth here in Florida, but initially when the news came out about the Greeks reaching a resolution and understanding, the response of the market was somewhat tepid. And I was wondering if you had any insight as to why there wasn't a better response to the market and what that might prognosticate for the future as far as Greece and its relationship with our economy.
I noticed that as well. So to his point, he was saying that they've come with ideas and how to, they finally come up with the settlement of how to now get the second bailout for Greece, and the response in the market was tepid. And it's true, it really went nowhere fast, and it's been going nowhere fast, and that is because while we are hearing that Greece has agreed to the terms of the bailout from the EU and the IMF, there wasn't a euphoria on Wall Street. We didn't jump a few hundred points, and that traders would say is because they're sort of non-believers at this point. They've heard about Greece once, they've heard about Greece 3 times, they've heard about Greece 100 times, and until things really flow and happen, you may not necessarily get that reaction that you were expecting. And that was really, they were quite numb to the Greek headlines this week, because the idea was that the EU and the IMF and the ECB all come together, and they came up with their ideas, and it was going to go through, and it did. And so it was much of what was to be expected.
Thank you. You mentioned your pink dress and your wardrobe mistress, and
yes.
I would like to raise an issue that is often quite makes people uncomfortable. The gender roles in the higher level professions, and also among more senior women. There is a fair amount of recent research showing quite genderized both roles and expectations. And the question is how women like you, particularly who are younger, fit into this. One sees, for example, higher registers of women's voices. I mean, our grandmothers in Greece didn't speak like that. We now have to, basically. Why? How can you say no and not upset someone saying, my God, this woman is a witch? Whereas, of course, for men, that would never be said. The men would be, very assertive. How do you deal with that? Thank you.
That's a great question. And many times there are double standards. What's fine for a man, not fine for a woman. How do I deal with it? I deal with it, I just deal with it in that my job is to be well informed and prepared and smart and bring it. And that's what you do. You bring it every day. You got to bring something to the table, and that's something that they say on Wall Street. And at Bloomberg, you know, they taught me so well that the key to success is preparation. And so I gave it a lot of thought about what I was going to hit today. I was going to do it in a loose fashion, but I knew what I wanted to hit today, and I hope that I somehow, whether it was the religion, whether it was the stock market, whether it was the children, whether it was the wardrobe, somehow, some way, I hope to incorporate everybody in this room, because that's what Greeks do, by the way, right? This friend of the friend, hey, you know what, I like that too, and you know, just like he said at the Greek wedding, and I digress, I'm going to answer your question, but I did like the part where they were marrying the Millers, right? Millers, which is Milo, which is apple, right? And Amgas Portocalos, Portocali, which is orange, and we all fruit. There we go. Right? And so we're all incorporated together. And so the man and the woman thing, the truth is, I remember crying in the bathroom once, and I remember saying to myself, I bet you if I were a man, I wouldn't be crying in this bathroom right now. My mother always said, you have to be strong, you have to be ready. As far as the look and what you do, I just try and look good and do it. And that's with the help of the Fox team. They give you clothes, they do your hair, they do your makeup. But it's tough. It's tough, and it's still a man's world in many ways. On the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, I work with 2,000 men and a few women. Facebook is going to have their IPO. I know that they recently had some headlines about getting more women on their board there and how that might help Facebook. So it's a theme that will probably continue, and I think as a woman, and I think as anybody, and that's really what I try to do, is be anybody, and to be generic, and just be smart, and love what you're talking about, because that's really the number one. If I came here with, you know, bad hair, or what, I mean, I would hope that you would want to be together, because we're talking about our common goals, not because of, you know, other things.
Good morning, Nicole. Thank you for coming. My question is, there's a lot of discussion today about increasing the capital gains rate or the rate of carried interest if you're a hedge fund trader to 30% or something higher than 15%. And this is not, I'm not really interested in the political side of the question as much as I am, since you interview so many business people, hedge fund managers, what have you, but they tell you would be the impact of raising it to that level.
Well, when I talk about capital gains, and I have to tell you, I don't really do too much on capital gains. I do much more on the stock markets and such. But I'm actually gonna tiptoe around that question. I've decided to tiptoe around that question, and I can get more information, because what I don't do, and I'm very careful not to do, say the wrong thing. And it's highly political as well. And so you and I are going to chat afterwards, and I'm going to get some of the hedge fund guys on Wall Street to give me some good answers, and I will probably email you early next week.
I'm thinking now that you might want to tiptoe around my question. You know, we have a very important presidential election coming up, and I just wanted to know if you wanted to offer any insight on this presidential election and the impact on the financial markets.
Yes, well, the idea about the presidential election is that if this is going to be a hot and heated one, that's for sure, because for the Democrats, they really have been improving things, and they have better stats and things, as I noted, right? Unemployment has gone down some, housing has improved some, spending has picked up. On the other hand, the Republicans are ready to come in and say that the current administration's ideas and policies are not really working to promote economic growth, nor are they promoting the growth in jobs, and sometimes the numbers in the jobs are even swayed because you actually have less people filing for unemployment because they're basically just don't even feel like filing anymore. And so you have less people in the workforce, and so sometimes that too can affect unemployment. So number one, this is going to be a heated election, because you see what's going on the Republican side with Romney and Gingrich and Santorum and Paul. So it's going to be really exciting. As far as the markets, I was saying about earlier, they say sell in May and go away, because you may see wait and see, you may see the markets pull back a little bit. I can tell you that the markets, when we started to see Romney gaining some momentum, lot of them think that he's better for business than the current administration, and there was this idea that the market was going up on Wall Street, and the idea of that, maybe wrong, that he really had a great momentum, but we're going to have to wait and see. But definitely, you may see the market being, it has been a very narrow trading range. Do you remember those days where we had 300 up, 600 down? Have you noticed lately? 67 up, 24 down. We're waiting for something. Pamela, Pamela, I made a big mistake. When I came up here, I was sitting there and I wanted to congratulate you on your achievement of Mount Everest. And wait, everybody, can we clap for her, because she's now going to go to the 7th summit in Australia in March. And she said, oh, don't worry about that one, it's easy.
Thank you very much, and you're an excellent speaker, by the way. I had a question. With all the popularity of all the reporting of the actual stock markets and Kramer on TV, do you think that the reporting and the information that gets out there to people actually affects individual trades and fluctuates the market on its own? Just the reporting?
Yes, very much so. And that is why, as a person who's an anchor on television, I try really hard. My grandfather, my Papu Nico, he was almost on his deathbed. He said to me some very wise words. He said to me, think before you speak. And he was right. And that goes for anything, from whether I'm in a local store, whether I'm on television, even to our friend's question about capital gains. You really have to think before you speak, because if I say something on Fox News, and it can scare the bejesus out of someone, right? They always say that term. But the truth is that when I was saying about the day I was on with Megyn Kelly, and we were dropping almost 1,000 points because there was the fat finger flash crash, I was trying to maintain a level of calm. Because what you don't want, people jump out of windows when they think that everything, you know what I mean? And on the other hand, you have to be the voice of reason when the market is taking off, right? So that's the other side. So I try really hard to balance. And as far as the stories, I research them and research them well and make sure I have the correct sources. Because so often there are rumors flying on the floor. And I may say something like, well, this particular stock, Bank of America, is soaring because of a rumor that's circulating, but I won't even acknowledge what the rumor is. If I have to say there's a rumor, I might. But I work really hard trying not to spread the wrong things. So the things that I know and I'm saying are fact. And I try to stay away from too much opinion. I don't know, whatever. I'm good, I see 3
Two
people.
more.
Hi, Nicole. My name is
After
Victoria
Lou
Business.
will be the last speaker.
Yes, sir. And I'm actually a filmmaker. I'm actually a film producer. And I've seen the effects of social media and how they've allowed filmmakers to actually get the films out, to record actual really beautiful stories, whether they're conflict-oriented or not. And my question to you is, seeing how much social media has impacted politics, we saw the movement in Libya and in Egypt, how much of that with the Wiki News impacts your business? And will there be an opportunity to actually consolidate social aspects with actual news reporting in the newsroom, and so that we actually get the true story?
Social media is growing at the fastest pace, and that could help promote a film, or for a filmmaker, or whatever. It can promote news, it can promote the wrong news, it can promote things that are completely incorrect. So that's really a big deal. I mean, I have to say, when I first started in television, there was no Twitter, there was no Facebook, right? I mean, it was just like Reuters and AP and Dow Jones. And now you are bombarded with so much, and everybody has these accounts, and there's so much news flying around. But I think that, you know, on the one hand, it can help somebody grow a great idea quickly. If you have something you want to patent and you want to show the world your great idea, it can become viral, right? You see YouTube people, you know, how about Justin Bieber? He was on YouTube, right? Wasn't he playing guitar in Canada, and now he's an international sensation. So on the one hand, social media, and I think Lady Gaga is starting something too now. But that's certainly a way to grow. But for me, and I guess I'm sort of a prior generation, is that I stick right now to the hard news, and there's not as much time for me to get through. I barely can get through what I can get through during the day. I'm not on Facebook. I don't tweet, though I think at some point I may have to. I may have to learn how to do that, because the truth is I'm really good at the stock market and technical analysis, but these things are not something that I do yet. I say yet because nothing is done. Yes?
I want to congratulate you on your success and how well you and so many others in high positions within the industry are representing Greek America. And it's a wonderful and proud feeling to have. I grew up the son of a priest, and I grew up every morning seeing a number of Greek papers in the household, including Koreanese. So I want to thank your mother for everything that she had done and all those involved at that time. And I'm proud to be involved to a certain extent in the newspaper industry myself now with a whole new voice. But my question to you is, it's always been a tradition within the government of the United States that whoever holds the Oval Office opens himself to all of the media. And I know that there's an aversion on the part of the current administration, and I don't want to put you in a difficult situation, but with regard to appearing on Fox, now I try to watch as much news as I can to get a wide variety of opinions and thoughts. I always go back to Fox because the challenging questions are answered even when you realize that the interviewee is being misleading in terms of the comments, and you're always challenging them on Fox. I know that must create a lot of difficulty in terms of how Fox has to operate in their effort to be fair and balanced. What better thing to do than ask the president a question, especially in an election year? How do you work around that? How does that impact Fox?
I think that when I think about Fox, and I think about Bill O'Reilly interviewing President Obama, or Brett Baer doing that, Fox as an anchor, and I can just speak from my own ideas and what I've learned from greats in the industry. If you ask a question and you get an answer, don't go to question number 2. Did you listen to the response on question number 1? Because there may have been something in there that wasn't quite right. And it's your job as the person who's conducting that interview to be ready, to be prepared, to know what the possible answers are from whomever you're interviewing, and ask that follow-up. And in some cases, it's quite challenging. And at Fox, I know that they have lots of Democrats on, they have lots of Republicans, they have plenty of people, who do give the Democratic side. They work really hard at just being fair and getting out the opinions of both sides. I know that not everybody agrees, but they really do. And they do invite a lot of the Democrats to come on, and they do try and ask the challenging questions. And as with the president, or with whomever, if it's GE or whoever, DuPont or Dow Chemical, right? Mr. Liveris gave a great speech here this week as well. You have to, for the American people, right? Don't you deserve the right answers? Whatever they are, whatever your opinion is, you want to hear from the horse's mouth what's going on. And if it's my job, whether that person likes me or not, I have to give that follow-up question. And in some cases, it's a tough one. Like, with Target, I really had to really hit that guy a lot on the fact that the Target websites kept crashing. And how is that going to bode for a company that your website's not working? Guess what? Walmart's works great. So if I'm a shareholder of Target, I'm pretty mad that you're not able to do your internet sales, which account for X amount of your revenue. So I hit them on that. I hit the person, they don't like those questions. They would rather just say, these are the hot toys for boys, and these are the hot toys for girls. They have their agenda and we have ours.
I thank you for asking.